guys, welcome back to Living in My Now. Thank you for pressing play. It just seems like it's just a crazy couple weeks. I'm sure you saw the title. Yes, it was my turn to be in the hospital, and it was very scary. So, a lot of people have been asking me also what happened, the people in my circle who've been praying for me. So, I decided to make a video also to clarify what happened instead of answering the question several times and telling the same story like 100 times. So what happened was last Sunday. Um, what was last Sunday? My sister's here helping take care of me. What was last
Am I
Sunday?
doing last Sunday? Oh my.
Yeah, whatever. She'll get the date. But last Sunday, around 2 in the morning, I was like stretching and different things like that because you know how when you're laying in the bed too
The
long.
15th.
The 15th, August 15th. So not even 2 weeks after my birthday, I was laying in the bed and I felt like super stiff, and I just got up and stretched and laid back down and it wasn't helping. So finally at like maybe 7 a.m., I got up. I decided to do some training since I do some stuff before church. And I noticed as I was like moving around and different things like that, the tightness did not go away. And it kept getting tighter. Excuse me. And then I felt the tightness from my shoulders down to my waist, from my chest all the way to my back. All that started getting tighter and tighter, and I noticed like I was having a hard time taking deep breaths. So I called my healthcare network. They have a nurse line, and I gave them a call, and I was telling them my symptoms, and the triage nurse told me we need to send an ambulance to you because she said your symptoms do not sound good and it sounds pretty serious. She's like, worst case scenario, if the ambulance does come and they think you're okay to wait to go see your primary, then that's fine. But she's strongly suggested that, and they have to do that for liability reasons. But I felt well enough, though I didn't feel good. I felt well enough to drive myself to the hospital. It's literally a 8 minute drive. Now, this is not me advising anyone that if you're having a serious medical emergency, to drive yourself. Please don't do that. Um, if I felt the way that I did later in the day, um, at that time, I would have opted to go in an ambulance. So I get to the emergency room, they check me in, and I'm noticing my breath is getting more and more shallow. Like, okay, well, do I have pneumonia? What's going on? So they did their test, they did everything, and kind of find out I have several blood clots at the bottom of my lungs. And when I tell you this pain was like one of the worst pains, it was the worst. I almost would have rather had contractions in childbirth than deal with that. I mean, it felt, you would think your lungs that it wouldn't hurt that bad, like on your in your muscles, but it does. It felt like someone was giving me a bear hug and just holding tighter and tighter and crushing me, and it was the worst thing ever. But even in that, God was still merciful. And I say that because I just had my physical the week before, clean bill of health. When I went into the hospital at first, I wasn't showing really any symptoms other than I had shortness of breath, but then my symptoms started coming. Um, the ER doctor told me that most people that have blood clots in their lungs that do not have any symptoms, they typically do not find out until they've had a real medical emergency like a heart attack or a stroke. So God was merciful in that sense, whereas I was uncomfortable enough to call and go to the emergency room than actually having a medical emergency. Even while I was in the hospital, um, I ran to two really wonderful Christian ladies. One of them was in the ER. She was taking um, she was trying to get an IV because I have little rolling, terrible veins that don't like having blood taken from them. So me and her were talking. I found out she was a Christian lady, and she was like the sweetest lady ever. And I was telling her about my career goals to have my own psych practices, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, that'd be great." And then my nurse, one of my nurse assistants, was super sweet too. And I was only in the hospital overnight, but when I tell you that I was not afraid of dying at all, I was not afraid of dying. But one of my biggest fears is suffocating. I do not, I pray, Lord, do not let me suffocate. I don't like that. Me and my son had this discussion that if I had the choice between drowning or being in a plane crash, I'd rather be in a plane crash because at least I can breathe, but I don't want to suffocate. So at some point during the night, after I was admitted, um, I don't know what happened, but I was already taking like super shallow breaths. And for whatever reason, those shallow breaths became a lot less. And I called the nurse because I thought I was suffocating. Um, so I called the nurse. They came in, and I was crying because it hurt so bad. It hurt so bad. And I was crying, which made my chest hurt even more, which made me cry more. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. And the nurse, which I found out later was also a Christian lady, um, she just held my hand and said, honey, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. I'm like, it hurts so bad. And she's like, okay, it'll be okay. Um, so this is a week later, and I got discharged the next day. And I just have to thank God too for all the wonderful friends and family that I have. Like I said, my sisters are helping me get some stuff together in my apartment before I go back to work. Um, my friend Sita was a huge blessing because her and her husband allowed me to stay there for a couple days because they have a bed that inclined. I could not lay flat at all. At all. It hurt so bad. I could not dress much. She had to help me dress and undress and everything because I could not do it for myself because I couldn't even lift my arms like this without having extreme pain down my sides. But God is good because I had the insurance to cover it and I was close by a hospital and I had someone to help and I have people still to help. And most importantly, I had people praying for me. And that I want to thank you if you were one of the ones praying for me because it was the worst pain ever. Like I said, I'd rather went through natural childbirth than experienced what I did. But in that, again, I saw that God was gracious and wonderful through it all. You know, and like I said, I would have rather went through that than be going to the hospital for a heart attack or a stroke. Um, so I just wanted to share that with you guys, you know, and one thing that a project I had started but didn't finish was telling different people in my life how I feel about them because far too much we wait until a person's dead or they're sick and dying to tell them, I love you and you've been wonderful. So I'm going to really push forward with that project because you just never know when the last time you're going to see someone is. I mean, I had so many calls and text messages, and though they were a little overwhelming because I wasn't feeling good, it was still greatly appreciated, and I appreciate every single one of you. When I went to church tonight, because I decided to go for the evening service, people were coming up to me like, "Oh my goodness, are you okay? We've been praying for you. I'm surprised you're back at church a week later." You're talking to the person who literally gave birth on Sunday and was at church on Wednesday. That's just me. If I was not feeling well enough, I wouldn't have come, but I felt well enough to go. So continue praying. I did see a hematologist because that's one thing they want to find out where the blood clots came from. So they're either thinking it's from me flying or it's a genetic disorder. So I don't have leukemia or anything like that, which is a blessing too, because I know people that have that and it's not good for them. Um, but if it's a genetic disorder, then my son has to be tested as well to make sure he does not have the gene. But either way, I'm going to be on blood thinners the rest of my life because I'm at a higher risk of redeveloping the blood clot. So that's okay though. I'll take that, like I said, over having to go to cardiac rehab and everything else because that's another thing God was good in. So I came home finally because I got discharged on Monday. I came home Thursday night. So Friday morning, I hear all this water overflowing in my bathroom. And I'm like, for those of you that see my apartment tour, you know how small my bathroom and my apartment is. So I'm like, what on earth is that? So I had to call maintenance. They came out and fixed it. It was a great blessing. And they're going to fix my shower too because my tiles are coming off the wall. But I said that because it come to find out the maintenance man went through that. And he said he had blood clots in his lungs. And he didn't find out until he had a heart attack, I believe he said. It was either a heart attack or a stroke, but I believe it was a heart attack. So it's like, Lord, oh my goodness. And he's like, yeah, I'm on blood thinners for the rest of my life too. But I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Like I said, it's not like I'm an extreme sports person that's going to be bruising myself and cutting myself. I mean, you don't have to be, but you know what I mean? I don't do super risky things that'll increase my chances of bleeding anyway. So I'm okay with that. But just remember, God is good. I mean, like I said, I live alone. So having heart attacks or strokes will not be a good thing. So even in your worst situations, just try to look for the blessing in them. And again, I thank you guys for your prayers, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. There were a few things I forgot to address in the video because I got a few more questions. One of the things is where people were asking me, did I get the COVID vaccine or is it COVID related? Since I'm addressing this on a public platform, I am not going to say whether I got the vaccine or not, or whether, simply because that is a personal decision. I'm not going to get into a debate with people, but it's a personal decision. What I will say is it was not related to having COVID nor the COVID vaccine. So, or lack thereof, or whatever. The other thing I want to address is that there is a cream that I'm going to link below that really helped because they had me on opiates. They had me on oxycodone, and it was not helping the pain because they said it's just hard to deal with that. I was on muscle relaxers, they weren't helping. So it's a cream that my friend had, which I'm going to share below. And it worked wonderfully. I mean, it was just like the pain was just not there, which was really cool. I do have to do 2 weeks of breathing exercises. So I have this little happy thing, which I still have to do for a few weeks. And I just want to address those things because that was something that popped up. So thank you for watching the video. I'm actually going to have another video of my mom's story and how she was basically dying right in front of me. So that was creepy. This video is supposed to come out second, but since I promised it within the next few days, I'm just pushing this one out first. And then on Saturday, I believe my mom's video will come out and how she was dying. That was terrible. But I'll see you guys later. Bye.